Hi, I'm Bobbi. I'm going to be talking about how to use live video in content marketing. So I'm head of creative at Kaizen, or according to Ross, head of Beanbags. We're an SEO-based content marketing agency in London. So why am I talking about live video? Well, earlier in the year, we created a white paper and then also ran an event that was all about the future of content, the future of content marketing. And one of the mediums that we looked into that we think is going to play a big role in the future of content is live video. So I did a lot of research about it and got really inspired by a lot of the brands that are using live video in really interesting ways. And here began my live video adventure, or spiral as some of my team will call it. So first I had to look into whether people actually care about live video, and luckily they do, otherwise this would be a very short presentation. But a lot of people are already watching live video, and that's kind of growing astronomically year on year, particularly with the growth of different platforms. So for example, Instagram Live in the last year has gotten huge. And as these different live video platforms grow, so too do the audiences that are consuming live content. As I mentioned, I was inspired by a whole host of different brands that are using live video in kind of really variety of different ways. And this is just a few examples. There are loads and loads. I just wanted to highlight three to start with to kind of give a bit of an idea about the different ways that you can use live video. So one of them is BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed, obviously known for their content creation, known for their viral content, and they've been using live video recently to create more of that kind of live viral content. So one of the things they did was a live experiment of how many rubber bands you have to fit around a watermelon before it explodes. And this video lasted over 45 minutes, and at its peak had over 800,000 viewers. And I mean, if you can imagine that a 45-minute video about watching people put rubber bands around a watermelon, it's not the most exciting content. You're literally waiting for the end. And if that was a static video or a pre-recorded video, then no one's going to have watched that whole 45 minutes. People were going to skip right to the end to see the explosion, that's it. But because it was live, they had such a huge, rapt audience. People would sort of go away, and then they'd come back 20 minutes later, see it was still on. People were engaging with each other in the comments, kind of making bets and guesses as to when it was going to explode. I don't know what the exact number was of rubber bands. You'll have to look that up. Another brand is Benefit Cosmetics. So they've really nailed down the series formula for live video. So they did a series called Tipsy Tricks, which basically has a few members of their team drinking wine, or sort of special guests drinking wine and giving makeup tutorials. It was really really good for them because obviously it shows how easy their products are to use, that you can use them drunk. And it also is a really nice way for them to engage with their audience and give a bit of that kind of behind-the-scenes feeling and that kind of a less polished feeling than you normally get from kind of brands on social media. And like Sarah was just saying, that's really important for that kind of Gen Z audience. And the final one I just wanted to highlight to start with is Dunkin' Donuts, obviously a huge brand in the US. And they're using a lot of live video in two particularly interesting ways. So one of them is competitions and running competitions through live video, which I think is really interesting use of live video. And the second is, again, that behind-the-scenes content, so taking people into their kitchen, showing off their kind of recipes, and also new products that they're kind of thinking of launching. This is a screenshot from a Valentine's Day video that they did where they showed people how to make this kind of ginormous Valentine's Day donut. So, as I said, there are a lot of examples of great brands using live video, and I could have created this whole presentation around basically breaking these down into individual case studies, who's doing it well, who's not doing it so well. But as our CEO Pete said to me, you are not allowed to stand on that stage unless we've done it ourselves. So we did. So we've done a couple of live videos now, and we learned so much from doing it ourselves, and it was a really interesting exercise and something that we definitely want to continue incorporating into our own marketing strategy. And I'm not going to say now that we are live video, experts, but just from these few that we've done, we've really learned a lot, and kind of incorporating that into seeing how bigger brands are doing it as well. I think the rest of this presentation basically is going to let you know what our attempts were, and then kind of learnings from that, and also recommendations and kind of top tips about how to actually practically do it yourself. The first thing we had to decide is what platform we were going to use. So really, there are a whole host, this is just a few examples, but there are a lot of different live streaming platforms, and the one that's best to use is literally whichever one makes the most sense for your brand. You need to use whichever platform you already have the most engaged social audience on. So, for example, if you have a lot of Facebook followers, but your Twitter or YouTube followers are a lot more engaged, I'd recommend using those platforms because the whole point of live video is having audience engagement. So you just want to use whichever platform you have the most engaged audience on. For us, that was Twitter. So we decided that we were going to do this live video. I asked our marketing exec to tweet about it about a week in advance. First time we tweeted about it, we actually lost 2 followers, which she won't let me forget, but I think we've kind of gained them back now, so I'm forgiven. But yeah, we tweeted about it about a week in advance. We decided to do a really simple concept for our first one. We tweeted out the question ahead of time. It was one question, which was, what's the best way to get journalists to link back? And we'd kind of tweeted it out, and we'd prepared it and asked volunteers from around our office to, if they'd be happy to answer that question on the live stream. And I'm not going to lie, it was very, very awkward. The first time we did it, there was a false start, there was probably far too much giggling, a lot of kind of walking around and logistical things that we hadn't really prepared for, and also hadn't really prepared how we were going to sign it off or end it. So the end of the video is kind of me just looking like a deer in the headlights, trying to figure out how to sign this off and finish it. It's also very difficult to get nice screenshots of people when they're mid-sentence. So yes, we did this live video, walking around the office, asked people the answer to the question, and we got kind of very mixed results from it. So we only had 20 viewers whilst it was live, which we don't have a huge social media audience. It wasn't terrible by any means, but we were expecting a few more than that. But one of the reasons for that is that it was only 2.5 minutes long. We kind of hadn't really prepared for that. We thought it was going to actually last a lot longer than it did, and so it was only 2.5 minutes long. We actually had a few people tweet us saying, where can I log on to the live stream when it was already over? So that's something that we definitely learned from the first one. But it wasn't all bad. For our first attempt, we actually got some really good results as well. So we had 25% higher impressions than our average tweets get, our average kind of text or image-based tweets. We also had a 16% click-through rate to our profile from the live video tweet, which doesn't sound like a huge amount, but when you take that the average click-through rate on kind of links or ads or anything on Twitter is 2%, that's actually way, way above average. And most interestingly, 375% higher engagements than we get on a normal tweet. So for our first attempt, we were quite happy with this. We were quite excited by it. We realized that this is actually a medium that we can kind of really dive into, and we can actually get a lot of really good results from. But we wanted to do it again because, it was our first attempt. We'd learned a lot. We had a bit more confidence. We knew kind of what we wanted to do this time a bit more. So we tried again. Again, we tweeted about it in the run-up to it. Didn't lose any followers this time, luckily. And this is mainly so that people obviously know when the video is going to be, but also so that you can get some kind of pre-engagement, get people sending in questions, things like that. And this time we decided to go for a slightly different format. So we did kind of a static shot. The camera was just in one place. We didn't walk around. We had kind of a round table going on. We had a whole list of questions, and we had our CEO, PR manager, and SEO exec to answer them because we wanted a kind of a range of answers. We'd be asking questions like, what's the value of a no-follow link? Because obviously SEO and PR people are going to have very different opinions on that. So it created a bit more conversation and a bit more kind of made it just a bit more interesting for the audience to watch rather than seeing people kind of statically answer an individual question. And this definitely could be seen in the results that it was a lot better this time. So we managed to last the whole 9.5 minutes this time, which is a bit better. And we had a 7% click-through rate, which again wasn't as good as the first one, but still way above that 2% average. And we had 106 views within our first 24 hours, which, like I say, our social media following is not very big, and so for us, we were really happy with that. But these are the really exciting stats. 38% higher impressions than our average tweets get. So it was huge, way bigger than we were expecting. And this is not a typo. Over 1,000% higher engagements than we ever get from a normal text or image-based tweet just from doing this live video. And like I say, our social media following isn't huge, so the numbers themselves aren't big, which is a mistake. You should follow us. We post great content. But if you think about those numbers in terms of brands that like Coca-Cola or any brand that has a huge social media following, and you think about those numbers and how much more you get out of a live video, you start to really see the impact that live video can have, and those numbers become something that's actually really important. So what did we learn? Well, the first thing we learned about live video is that it's incredibly easy. We decided to do it, we did a little bit of planning, and then we did it. It's very easy to do. There's no excuse, anyone can do it. And to that same end, it's incredibly cheap. We filmed ours on an iPhone, we didn't have any extra equipment, it was completely free for us. It's easy, it's cheap, anyone can do it. If you do want to make it a bigger part of your strategy, then it is worth investing a little bit into it, because quality and video quality is one of the most important things to people that are watching live video. So if you are planning on making it a bigger part of your strategy, it's probably worth investing in, a camera or a tripod and setting it up to like a 4K streaming service. You will get a lot more out of it. And this other thing that we learned, which I think I learned from our attempts ourselves, but also from a lot of the other brands that I've seen doing live video, is that what live video does is it is great supporting content. And the supporting is really important here, because I don't want to stand here and say, if you use live video, you're going to get 100 links, or whatever it is that your KPI is, because that's just not necessarily true. But what it is great for is amplifying other marketing efforts. So using it for an event, using it for a competition, or just to amplify your other content marketing or social media strategies. Because people would rather watch live video than watch a blog or read normal social media posts. And these are things that we normally see as kind of supporting or additional content. And that's kind of how I think that you should think about live video in that same way. Now, you may be sitting here thinking, this is great, but I don't know, there's nothing that I can live video about. I don't know what my live video would be on. So I wanted to have this little section here as almost like a little inspirational section, just to give you a few ideas, because I really do want people to go out and actually make live videos, and kind of the more people that do it, the more kind of case studies we get from it, and the more we can see what's working well and what's working not so well, and we can kind of share that information. So these are just a few ideas on kind of what your live videos can be about. So the first one is product launches. I don't think you can talk about live video without talking about Apple. Their product launches are live streamed around the world. They are huge global events. People know about them, weeks in advance. They set aside the time to watch them. And what Apple have done really well is that they managed to make people around the world feel as much a part of that event as the people that are sitting in the room. And the live events also build a lot of hype around the new products. So there are always loads of articles and social media posts and everything after the live stream and whilst the live stream is going on about the products themselves. That's what a live video does really well, is kind of building that hype. But you might not have a product to launch. Cool. So why not use live video to launch a link building campaign? So if you've got a new interactive tool or a new piece of content that you're trying to build some hype around, you're trying to build some noise around it on social media, try and get people engaged with it, do a live video of people using the tool or Q&Aing it and kind of interacting with it in that way, and use that to build some buzz around it on social media, because that's what live video is really, really great for, is that engagement. Competitions. I don't know if anyone else was on this HQ craze a couple of months ago, but it was huge. And for those that don't know, HQ is an app-based quiz game, but it's kind of done in the style of it being like a real game show. So you have a host that feeds you the questions, and then you answer them in real time. And it has thousands and thousands of users, hundreds of thousands of users around the globe. It was a huge phenomenon. I think the reason why it's so successful, and why when brands like Dunkin' Donuts, like I mentioned, run competitions through live video, why they're so successful, is that live video creates this real sense of urgency. It's happening right now. You have to get involved right now, or you're going to miss it. You have to enter this competition. You have to be involved right now, otherwise it's just gone. It's happening now. And it really creates that kind of, that real urgency and that real buzz. And I think that's why ads and competitions that are produced through live video have such great conversion rates. And finally, conversing with your audience. So when Twitter came out, everyone loved Twitter because you could converse with brands and celebrities on kind of a personal level that you haven't really been able to before. But obviously it's huge now, and it has kind of lost that feeling to it. And I think live video brings that back kind of tenfold. It is a direct two-way conversation that you're having in real time with that person. And I don't think as a brand, you'll ever feel like you know how your audience feels about you quite as clearly as you will do during a live stream. So whether that be good or bad in this case. And people really like that kind of behind-the-scenes feeling. They really like that feeling that they're getting something that's not been polished, that's not had 3 takes to make sure you're saying the right thing. They're getting the real insight into your brand, and that's what people, especially younger people, really like, is that very personable, very behind-the-scenes feeling, and having that direct two-way conversation with you. So I just want to end on our 4 top tips for live video success. If you are going to go out and kind of try it right now, here are some things that we learned personally ourselves from doing it, and also from seeing other brands that have been doing it really well as well. So don't just go live. Like I said, you can, but don't, because people won't know it's going to happen and no one will be watching it. When a new TV show comes on, it doesn't just air and hope that people are on the right channel at the right time. You have to promote it beforehand. You have to use your social media channels, use your website, email marketing. If you have budget for it, use promoted campaigns. Get the word out there of what your live video is about, when it's airing, what platform it's on, so that people are there and they're prepared and they're excited and they're participating ahead of time and they're ready to get involved. Try not to be too scripted. One of the things that people really like about live video is it has that kind of anything can happen feeling to it. And if you're too scripted, that kind of goes away. And also, because anything can happen, if you are too scripted and something does happen, it often can really throw you off a script. But to that same end, do be prepared in some way, because otherwise it's very, very awkward. So what I found works quite well is having kind of, some bullet points. You know what you're going to be talking about in each section. You know what's going to happen. You're prepared for it, but it's not kind of fully scripted. And to that same end, try not to set kind of time sections to things, because again, you don't want to be watching the clock. And also, one of the best things about live video is that you're getting real-time feedback from the people that are watching it. So you can see things that they're enjoying, things that they're not liking so well. If the numbers are starting to nosedive, maybe skip ahead from whatever you're supposed to be doing right now. If the numbers are booming or you're getting a lot of interaction, you know that this particular thing is working quite well, so you maybe want to extend it. So what I would suggest is instead to set sections. So for example, if you're live streaming an event, you might want to start with a Q&A session at the start with some of the experts. And then you want to give like a tour of the venue, a tour of the event, kind of walk around. And then you want to end with some kind of vox pop style, grabbing some of the participants, asking them some questions. And you know that you've got these general sections set out, but you have that flexibility that whilst it's live, things that people are engaging with more or less, you can kind of extend them or reduce them as you need. And the final one is don't go it alone. So there's this real trend amongst celebrities that are doing live streams. You see they tend to do like the kind of selfie style live stream video, which is fine for them. It doesn't look very professional. So, I mean, if you're doing it for professional reasons, I wouldn't recommend doing that anyway. But the main reason is what you want is you need somebody who's behind the camera, who's looking at all the statistics, who's looking at the amount of viewers you've got, who's looking at the comments and the questions that are coming in and can feed the ones to you that you want to kind of engage with. And if you don't have that, what you end up with is half of the video is just you kind of blank face looking at the screen because you're reading all of the comments and the questions and things. So make sure you have like a few people around you who can you can just concentrate on hosting the video, and they can concentrate on, looking at the statistics and kind of, pushing you along and kind of giving you nudges of what you should be doing next. And as a bonus tip, have a follow-up plan. So this was something that we found really interesting ourselves, is that around 80% of our viewership of our first live video was actually after it had streamed. And we actually got a lot of our engagement post-video by tweeting out kind of handy little tips from that happened in the video and kind of engaging with people that were watching it afterwards. So make sure you have a follow-up plan, a social plan to kind of, promote the video after it's been live and engage with people that are watching it after that. That's pretty much all I have to say about live video at this point, but whilst I do have you, Kaizen have just launched a coverage tracker, and we're all really excited about it. It was built by our in-house team, and it automatically finds all your PR coverage and pulls it all into a tool and shows you the SEO value of it and stuff. So if you do want to learn more about that, then I'm not going to talk about it now, but you can go to coveragetracker.io and you can read all about it, and you can register your interest for a free trial, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's me. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Bobbi. I really enjoyed that. 3 great talks to start us off. I really, really